he got his humble pie, just not in the way that you would usually give it to someone like him.
I mean, when he's literally... then yeah, you would think so.
Oh my god, you did not just say that. You did not just say that. Greetings and salutations, all fellow nerds and neats.
Hello.
Out in the interwebs. I probably just offended a lot of people by saying that, but welcome back to Our Hero Academia, where Will and I'm Joe, are going through each arc of My Hero Academia, almost season by season. We're actually going to be splitting most of the seasons in two. We're covering the sports festival arc.
Nice.
I believe last time we kind of opened up talking about the opening sequence.
Yeah, we did.
For me, it's number 4 on my list of favorite openings.
Okay.
For a long time, it was actually my number. For a long time, it was actually my number 2. But as time has gone on, that has changed a little bit. But there's something interesting about it for me is that when I say number 4, I'm speaking about the original Japanese intro. I absolutely love Jonathan Young's peace sign covering.
Oh.
Like, Nate Wants to Battle has a more... I'm going to say, like, vocally is more accurate to the original, but something about Jonathan Young, like, the way that he arranged it and the way that his vocals go with it, I'm just like, that's the version I listen to in the car. That's one of the tracks that I use to jam when I'm doing my workouts. And
Jonathan Young is a great cover artist. He's a great artist, period. Like, if there's two online artists, it's probably him and Caleb Hiles I like to listen to a lot, if you're familiar, but...
Yeah, he's interesting.
Yeah, but...
The main thing about the visuals that I wanted to touch on was that the opening sequence now shows us more about where the characters are as opposed to where they have been.
Sure.
Right, because I went over this during our first podcast, was that the opening of the day, which again my number 2 is way up there. The visual sequence shows us a silent prologue. Kind of shows them throughout the years a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And how they got to where they are now.
Yeah.
This doesn't have that. It's more about like, okay, we're here now. This is what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, no, that's what I had this in my notes, but just like how the OP for this season is quote unquote fine. That's the exact word I wrote. Mm-hmm. And I wrote that it was almost kind of a low-key kind of opening compared to the day. Where like the day was like more hype and like, oh yeah, this is where they are. Where it's like, oh yeah, they're here, they're doing the sports festival, and yeah, it's a good opening. Don't get me wrong.
It's a fun opening.
It's very fun. It's just very low key compared to the day. I don't know where I would rank it. I think like once I finished, maybe like after this podcast, because I haven't done this, I'll go through like all of the openings individually and try to rank them. I haven't necessarily done that. I've been kind of like going at it while watching, but I think I might do that after this. But yeah, the OP is good. And how much fun is season 2?
I've got a few notes I want to go over as an overview before we start breaking down episode by episode.
Sure, of course.
That's all right.
No, that's fine.
Kind of on the subject of songs, normally I don't care that much about closing songs.
Sure.
But season 2 has a really nice, fun closing song.
I like this one.
There's nothing like super,
when...
nothing super inspiring about it. Like nothing I'm like, yes, I want to listen to this over and over and over again. But it's a fun I'm a lot less likely to skip over it than I am a fair number of other closing songs.
Yeah, I wrote down in my notes here that I hadn't like sat down and listened to the song before the ending song, and no, it's just I really like it. It's a nice, chill song.
Last note for now on the music is that this is regards to Yuki Hayashi, is that there is far more variety in the music, like in terms of the soundtrack. Like first season like had a really great soundtrack. But in this season, you get stuff like Kimi no Chikara, which is Todoroki's theme song. You get Jet Set Run. You get Endeavor's. You get Endeavor's theme a little bit later on.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You start having more. Yeah, like more and more people are having individual soundtracks for them.
I think I didn't really notice the soundtrack for this season just because... Well, it's so funny because I was playing one of my favorite games earlier, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, and that soundtrack is so good, and I went down and I was just like listening to the soundtrack while playing the game. Whereas for anime, like unless it's like an absolute banger of a song, most of the time the soundtrack just kind of blends in for me, which is kind of weird to say because I love music and these kinds of arts, but a lot of the soundtrack for season 2 just kind of, maybe it was I was trying to watch the show while taking notes, maybe it was also that, but the soundtrack was blend, but it's still a great soundtrack. I agree with that. I just hadn't really picked it up on it all that much.
Yeah, like Todoroki's theme slaps. It's the one that's playing when Todoroki's getting angry at Deku.
Oh yeah,
like for trying to bring his fire out.
I know exactly which one you're talking about now. Yeah, that's a great piece.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
So the artist in me has to make a note of the line work. Like even in the low budget shots or like the more distant shots, the line work has improved phenomenally from the first season already. Like comparing this to season 7 and 8, like it's not even close. But it's one of those ones where it's like, no, it just keeps getting better and better and better. In terms of pacing, this was something that I thought you might be interested in, is that less seems to be happening per episode, but it's not to a degree where it's like causing me an issue with the pacing.
Yeah, I would agree that less is happening, but that's also kind of due to the inherent structure of this tournament arc, which we'll get to later this episode, because I do have some thoughts that I want to get to about that. But where season 1's pacing is really good, like, oh yeah, we're kind of like going through, not a whole lot happens in season 1 as well, but it feels like a whole lot is happening. Whereas season 2 is kind of the opposite, where it doesn't feel, it feels like there's like a lot of things happening, but really, or it feels like there's not a lot of things happening, but really there is a lot of things happening. At least that's my take on it.
Well, I mean, think about it this way, is that it's a progression of time, because in the first like 4 episodes, like there's a year.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah. And then, you know, like their time in class, like that's like the first few weeks of or like the first week of their time at UA High. Everything in the sports festival just happens within one day.
Like a few days, yeah. Or a day. I don't even, how long is it?
The sports festival, everything happens within one day.
It's one day?
Like they have the opening episode where it's like, okay, we're going to do the sports festival. But that's the only episode that doesn't take place like that day.
I need to... Then that makes me very, very concerned for these students' physical health. Let's be blunt. Because you see them go to... Everyone's going to friggin' Recovery Girl like multiple times in like the span of just a couple of episodes. I need to go back and check that out, because there is so much physical damage.
That happens.
Oh my word. I didn't think about that. I'll have to... Dang, that's crazy. And there's so many notes I have regarding those instances specifically.
So my final general note, it's become less funny, but it's still like this era of My Hero Academia is still marginally funnier than the stuff that happens later on.
It was pretty
as I'm watching these earlier episodes, I'm just like, these are hilarious.
Yeah, there were like a lot of lines
these probably
that
shouldn't be making me laugh as hard as they do, but there's some stuff in there that's just really funny.
There's like one thing, I forget like what the line is, but like Tokoyami says something where like about the thing, and then two seats over, Ida's like, so wise. I forget what the context of that line is, but just little touches like that. Yeah, I think we're ready to jump into episode. Do you want to start going ahead and
getting into episode by episode?
Yeah, so let's go into episode 14. I don't have a whole lot to say on this one for a couple things. One, a good majority of this episode is, or at least the first like 5-10 minutes, is basically just a recap of season 1, with the exception of the teachers talking about Shigaraki. In that, there's not a whole lot to say.
So, okay. I actually like the way that they did the recap, because it gives us a narrative reason for why All Might would be doing a recap. He's telling Gran Torino about what's been happening. Gran Torino would need the recap. In terms of a narrative perspective, that's actually a really good move to make. It's not just someone explaining to people who were there, you know, oh man, this crazy thing happened. Yeah, we know, we were there.
As you may know, there have been recent unusual occurrences.
As you may know, there are many who consider the Miss United States pageant outdated.
As you know, our blockade is perfectly legal.
As you know, I conducted a raid on the Great Library, which most said didn't even exist.
That's a very good point, because I hadn't thought about that. That's because it's always hard doing a recap in any sense of the word, unless it's like an out of narrative thing, like it's the characters like voiceover, like what Deku does for like a majority of the opening episodes, was like 80% of the population is just, like, unless it's that kind, it's really hard to do it. I still remember, this is kind of a tangent, I don't want to like dwell on this too much because tangents take a long time, but I do remember one of the single worst recaps in any show, and that was in like Legend of Korra season 4, where they were forced to do like a recap, like in character.
Yeah.
And I know the reason
and they
for
like
that.
Did bad Photoshop and stuff. It's like they were trying to do an Ember Island players episode, and it did not land the way
there was
they
like one moment of that entire recap where it was basically the actual creators making an abridged series with all of the villains like physically calling each other. That's the only funny bit, but otherwise, that was just a bad.
Hey, it's a here.
Oh, hey there.
glad I caught you at home.
Oh, very funny. Like I can leave this stupid tree.
Hey guys, I'm totally in for taking out Bolin. He's way too powerful and awesome. But can we please not include...
Not include who, Amon?
So it's actually two-parted. Because we get All Might in a personal... he gives us a more personal review regarding to Deku's character specifically.
Sure.
But we also have the media going on in the background. They provide a more objective standpoint as to how would this look to the rest of the world.
The media providing an objective standpoint?
This is how you know it's fiction.
Oh no. Oh no. You're not wrong in the slightest, my friend. There. You're not wrong in the slightest. I think that's the most political that we're going to get on this podcast. But let's but yeah, no, so that's a good way to put it for the recap. But so yeah, but then there's the entire sports festival, and I just have in my notes verbatim right here, quote, Aizawa is the dictionary definition of "you're still coming into work today, right?"
Yeah, my note was new Aizawa voice actor, same tired dad energy.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I do really like the new voice actor, and we talked about it in the last podcast about why they had to change voice actors, but I do really like and he stays as voice actor for Aizawa for the rest of the series, and I really do like him better than the first guy.
I think the first guy would have done just fine with it. Like, I think that's a testament to like how Aizawa's written, is like we don't really care that much about who's voicing him. We love the character.
That is true. Like a voice is a great fit for a character, but like when you have a good character, that's first and foremost. So yeah, I do, from a writing perspective, I do agree with that.
So you know how I'm all about, you guys know this, I'm all about like little background details and stuff, and planting seeds for stuff that blooms later on. This episode is actually the first time we hear about court counseling, which becomes a prevailing theme later on, especially with how Uravity
wait, when did they talk
really
about court
focuses
counseling?
her pro hero career.
When did they talk about court counseling? Because I'm trying to remember in that episode if where they talk about that.
Because of Shigaraki. Remember when the faculty's having a meeting, they're like, he probably didn't get the court counseling that kids usually need these days.
Sure.
Right.
Nah, he just played League of Legends.
That's the first time we get that mentioned. He's played League of Legends. That was his counseling, which explains some things.
That explains a lot of things. Are you kidding me?
I thought, so moving along in the episode, I thought it was interesting how the students are starting to flesh out their, like, there's more character interactions happening outside of, Deku's circle. We start seeing more of Uraraka as a character again.
Oh my word, I have so many good notes about Uraraka.
She's like low-key as competitive as Bakugo.
She's peak female character. She really is.
She really is.
Yeah.
But like, I thought that was like, especially in going back and watching this, I'm like, she's just as competitive as Bakugo.
She is. I'll get to that when we get to that episode specifically, because I have so many notes on that.
Yeah.
But speaking
that's such a good episode, but yeah.
It really is. I have so many notes. But confession time. First podcast, I tried to narrow my notes down to 1 page. For this podcast, I have like 7 pages of notes. So I'm not going to go over all of them, obviously, because of time constraints. Yeah. But I did want to throw that out there. But Sports Festival introduction. And this is something that I bring up with you and our Discord group every time it comes up. It's a great introduction. The Sports Festival and the way it's introduced is great. But one line ruins it for me. And that line, I forget exactly the line, but they basically say that a high school event basically got more popular than the global Olympics. And I'm sorry, that just...
Yeah.
The Olympics have been going on for over a century. Why was that not adjusted for quirks? You know how much I would love to see, like, synchronized swimming, but with those kind of swim quirks? Like, you know how awesome that is? No, apparently kids punching the crap out of each other are...
They made fun of this. Team 4-Star made fun of this. They did My Hero Academia Season 2 in like 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And they have President Mike going, who wants to see some sports? Dead silence in the stadium. Who wants to see some high schoolers beat the stuffing out of each other? Stadium erupts.
Oh, man. They're so right, though. And if that line didn't exist, I wouldn't have a problem. Because like that could be the Olympics, and then it could just be the UA Sports Festival is one of the biggest events that's seen by lots of people, even the world over. That's fine, but the fact that it outplays even the Olympics is like the one line that just gets my goat. just because like that opens up an entire
that's the one
can
that takes
of worms.
you out of it a little bit.
That opens up an entire can of worms in the world building. Oh, the sports festival is a great way to get scouted by hero agencies. Unrealistic. You know it's fiction because no one cares about your college education in the workforce. Only that you have 5 years of experience for an entry-level job. Only that. That's all I want. I wish I could get like that kind of job straight out of college. Are you kidding me?
Oh, man.
And then on that same note, I have Ochako.
What you get for being born porkless.
I know. Oh no. But Ochako.
Will's going, Joe, you can't say the quiet part out loud.
It's only been like 15 minutes. It's been 20 minutes. But here we go. Ochako. I'm going to graduate and then I'm going to graduate, then sign on with a good agency to make bank because going to UA guarantees that. Me. Man, I wish that companies hired you right out of school and considered it a major factor in hiring. Right. And then on top of that, I did write down here, Ochako's parents own a construction company in a world where hero battles theoretically cause collateral damage and there's no work for them?
I mean, if you think about it, like, if that's an in-demand product, they're not the only ones who are going to be.
No, but that just means the market is so big at that point still. It's just a giant market.
Well, the market's that big to, like, the market's that big to where smaller companies like them are going to have a hard time staying afloat.
And
that's just how economics works sometimes.
Sure.
Like, if you have too many people that you're competing against, it's going to be who has more effective advertising and all that.
Sure.
Like, I'm guessing they didn't have the money or the resources to do the kind of advertising that they would need.
Yeah, that's true. As someone who's been trying to like get these videos seen on YouTube, I found out that advertising is a very big thing. So yeah, I will concede that point. Very last note, because and I swear we can move on. I'm sorry, I'm the one keeping us this time. But Ochako continues to be one of my favorite characters because she has a realistic end goal after school, which is to sign on with a good agency and make money.
Well, Deku says it himself. He's like, her goal's way more realistic and grounded than mine or Ida's.
Yeah.
Or anybody's.
I know.
Last thing I want to touch on from the first episode, I promise is the last thing, is that we see here, again, that All Might's reason for passing One for All onto Deku is fully devoid of anything to do with All for One because he assumes the other guy's dead.
Sure.
Right? Like, the whole Deku, like, rising up to take on All for One, that hasn't started yet. Like, that's not in either of their minds.
No.
This is just All Might. This is All Might. Like, he knows he needs a successor, but he thinks that he's going to be able to hand One for All off to Deku in a time of relative peace.
Sure.
Now, in the grand scheme of things, we know exactly who All for One is and how that definitely wasn't going to happen. But I still find it interesting to see how their character dynamic is now as opposed to it is later, when they both know that All for One is alive.
I mean, yeah, he tries to have this power in a relative transfer in a relative time of peace, but he at the same time he basically asks of Deku to be the same kind of nuclear deterrent of a hero that he currently is, and that's a lot.
I had made a note about that, yeah.
And then moving on to episode 15, the tournament arc begins, basically portrayed as the Olympics.
First thing that I have written is that Deku is continuing to struggle with an inferiority complex despite his accomplishments in the first season, right? First season, he had some solid wins. Like he had to fight hard for him, but he did win.
Sure.
But he's had a lifetime of, Dekonobu, right? Being the useless fool that's so deep rooted in him that he, despite those victories, despite having All Might in his corner, as Todoroki puts it, he's still dealing with an inferiority complex.
Sure.
Shinzo is hilarious because he matches Bakugo's sass level, right? That's not the first time we see someone match Bakugo's sass level, but we see him match Bakugo's sass level to his face. Nobody's tossed it back at Bakugo like the way that nobody's giving it back to Bakugo the way he gives it to them.
He can dish it, but he can't take it. Yeah, but there's like this one YouTube short, which I think it's like an abridged series of My Hero. It's from some YouTube channel, but it's that scene, but it's just they keep getting like more intense with their roasts. And then Deku's like, guys, we can all calm down. No one asked you, you green. I forget the insult, but then they're like, did we just become best friends? You're gosh dang right we did. And while this note could technically have been covered in season 1, I just want to say that the track uniforms that everyone largely wears for the festival is one of the best uniform character designs that could have been made. Because when you're having like people wear a uniform where it's like everyone's like identical, that's one of the best outfit designs that you could have done. It's just so well designed. I love it.
It does stand out very well to like you think you think the UA uniform, you think of one or two things immediately. Name any other high school anime and the same generic uniform is going to show up in your head.
It's such
maybe there's a small color variation, but theirs stands out very well. That's actually a really good point. Like aesthetically, that's a very big standout.
If there's two things that Horikoshi is great at, it's character designs and drawing hands. Those like one of the two.
I was gonna say drawing hands
and drawing.
Oh, I hate that guy for his ability to draw hands.
His entire thing for like Shigaraki is just to dunk on all of the artists who have difficulty drawing hands. He's like, hey, hands is just this entire character.
Hey, watch me do this. Oh,
I've seen one of my favorite memes. It's like the Mean Girls thing. It's like, wait, you can draw hands? And it's like, what? Like it's hard?
The next note that I have is it's Deku lies to his mother's face. She's like, promise me you won't get. She's like, promise you won't get hurt, and if there's danger, you'll run away. And he's like, of course, Mom, I will.
So that was a friggin' lie.
So that was a lie.
So that was a lie. Oh man, you love to see it.
That was a bald-faced lie.
We're gonna get so much more into that when that episode comes up in this podcast. But and I would also like to say that this is arguably we had like a lot of moments with him in season 1, but this is arguably the main intro of Todoroki, mostly with both his declaration to Deku and how much his characters expand in this season. Because he did appear and he did like play a somewhat major role in season 1, but I would argue that this
he saved
season
All Might from getting. He just saved All Might from getting torn in half.
Yeah, but I would personally argue that this is really his true introduction. That's the
absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all.
I just have a couple more notes regarding this episode specifically, including not only Class B and the hero games, but also the other students in general, seems kind of weird. It's like putting a police officer in a shooting competition with a salaryman. That's basically what I wrote down, because that's basically what it is.
Oh, man.
That's basically what and even the students themselves call this out, where it's like, oh yeah, we're probably only here to make the hero course students look good. I'm like, yeah, guys, you are. Yeah. I'm sorry to break it to you.
Yeah. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's
essentially it.
Midnight, so no comment.
Okay, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real with you.
Sure, be real.
So I hate Midnight. And nothing in the series, and I'm including Vigilantes in this. Yes, I'm affronting upon the holy texts of My Hero Academia Vigilantes. That is so sacred to Will here.
Vigilantes is really sacred to me personally.
Nothing in this series has convinced me to like Midnight.
Midnight is kind of worse than Vigilantes.
Yeah. No, but like legitimately, when she died in season 6, I was like everybody's like in mourning, and I'm just like, I don't care. I'm like,
that's right, she did die. Like, I forgot that
they're trying to portray it as this tragedy. I'm like, she was a terrible person.
You're not entirely
but she cared
wrong.
about the students so much. I'm like, yeah, she cared about the students in a way that's not.
In a way that'll put her on some kind of list.
I was about to name a specific, very small landmass.
I want to make a joke. In fact, if the Epstein files were to release, then Midnight would be at the top.
That's exactly what I was getting at.
Can I cut that out?
No.
I'll do some. I honestly don't now. I'll look into it, but it's
I'm like, that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything.
She's a problem.
She's a problem.
She's in the same category as Mineta as a problem.
Oh man, I hate how right that is. I do like to say here that Bakugo's "I'm gonna win" has so many layers to it than just him bragging, which is interesting. Which we do get into, but that's an entire.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that.
President Mike, what should we be paying attention to in the early stages of the race? The doorway.
Door. Aizawa's commentary is the best. One last thing for me is two last things. One, how did Kirishima dodge that ice wall at the beginning?
Who knows?
Like the other guys, it makes sense. I don't know how he pulled that off. And then the other thing is that Deku is already showing improvement in his mentality when he's staring down the robots he previously straight up avoided and ran away from.
Yeah, no, that's true, because those
the episode cuts off, but he's not running. He's like, okay, I've dealt with this kind of thing before. What's my plan here?
Sure.
Instead of like,
yeah, no, definitely.
That's a good show of character growth for him.
It is. It really is. And then I have Momo, where does the school even get the funding for these things? Me, that's a great question that I've been asking that we never get an answer to in 8 seasons.
I think that's just a joke.
Yeah. I could make another.
I'm okay with it.
I could make a real world joke right now, but I'm going to abstain from that particular joke for a plethora of reasons. But yeah, we never get an answer we never get an answer to UA's funding, and it's one of the things that drives me insane. Where is the school getting its money?
Here's the other question we never get answered. What does UA stand for?
Ultra Academy? Maybe?
They never say. Well, that's the thing, because they just call it UA.
Well, no, here's the thing, and there's a reason for that. It's kind of like the Deku thing, because in Japanese, it's literally the word UA, and I think that means just hero in Japanese. So it's literally, when they say UA, it's supposed to be abbreviated to something Academy, whereas, in which case, it's just UA Academy. It's just like them saying blank Academy. But in Japan, it's like an entirely different phrase, and anyways, episode 16. This doesn't have anything to do with the actual episode itself, technically speaking, but just so I can say that I do a funny edit in this video, a part of me really wants to see Dan and Aaron from the Game Grumps commentating over the sports festival in place of Aizawa and Present Mike, because there are so many instances where I can see them doing that. Post-production will give like 2 or 3 examples.
Nothing can stop me now. I'm having such a good time. Yep.
This is something about watching a frog enthusiastically leap into the void. It's down to butt! Oh god! Please! Anything. Use the anything.
Use pursuit.
Please. Oh my god.
Super effective, but
that's what super effective is?
Oh my god, I'm first! I'm faster than Alakazam! Oh, that's because I'm level 90.
Yeah, but he's gonna kill you now, isn't he?
Don't. No!
That was it! That was all!
Oh, wait, hold on. I have to look this up. I have to look if I made a horrible mistake. I could have used the bug technique and it would have killed him! I could have beat him with Twin Needle, man!
My opening note for this episode, is Kirishima and Tetsu being different but same really helps to illustrate that despite like the many variety of superpowers in the world, there's going to be some that are inevitably similar outside of family relations.
Definitely.
Because like Dabi says something later on along the lines of like how it's like, what, did you not recognize me just because flame quirks are so common?
That's true. For a split second, my brain registered that as Dobby from Harry Potter for some reason. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, Dobby the fire.
What does Dobby have to do with it?
Dobby says...
Dobby has been given a sock. Why is Dobby still here?
Come and dance with Dobby in hell, won't you endeavor? Oh man, but no, you're right.
Again, I have to reference the Team 4-star abbreviated version because Himiko's like, if I give you a sock, will you tell us your real name?
Oh my word. Oh man. But no, you're right. There would be like a lot of like not duplicates per se. Well, because quirks are virtually
similar.
Yeah, they're similar.
Given that it's amazing that Horikoshi came up with as many different powers as he did.
Definitely. That's an
and
that's
like
an
it feels as though it definitely feels as though like he could have easily made Tetsu have a different quirk.
Sure.
Like clearly Horikoshi had the imagination that would stretch it.
Sure.
But he did, like, clearly he did this on purpose. Maybe it was just for a gag. Maybe it was just for a gag, but I do think it's interesting to note here. It's like, no, like, not everybody's going to have this individual, unique power that's exclusive to them and them alone.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Right? There's going to be some similarities.
I do think it's interesting because there are multiple times where any student, most notably the non-hero course students that were forcibly enrolled in this, could very much have been killed. And one of the biggest instances is where a giant destroyed mech actively falls on Kirishima, and not even the hero core students, but if it was literally anyone that wasn't either Tetsu or Kirishima, quirk or not, that student would have friggin' died.
I gotta imagine Nezu was like super clever about how he worded the disclaimers that people had to sign.
Oh, man.
So that they wouldn't note that it's like, yeah, if I die at UA, it's not the school's fault.
That you signed up for a Disney Plus subscription, therefore you can't sue us.
You can't. Oh, we went there. We're going after everybody today.
I think I should stop making these kind of jokes, because otherwise I might get demonetized. I'm not even monetized, so they can't hurt me. But
oh man.
But yeah, there's
I
so
made
many.
I made a reference note that I think you might find amusing.
Sure.
Right? So Yayorozu's getting weapons out, right? So
sure.
ladies love cannons.
Ladies love cannons.
Just love cannons.
Oh, that's an anti-tank rifle.
Oh, that's an anti-tank rifle.
You know what I'm referencing
I
here, right?
literally,
okay.
This past week, I literally showed one of my best friends the entirety of that. They had not seen Hellsing or the abridged series before, so we just sat down and watched the entire series in one go. And she's like, "This was incredible. Are you kidding me?" But it was so funny.
So Hatsume's introduction here is something I want to touch on. I'm like, I don't know how it could have been done better, so maybe I have no right to offer this criticism, but like, I don't know that I like the way she was introduced. Like, it honestly kind of felt like a DEI shoo-in.
In what sense?
Like, just to get reminded that there's students outside of 1A and B who can do things.
I mean, yeah. I think it is interesting how she kind of was introduced, but at the same time, she's, again, we talked about this earlier, she's all about, she can have the best thing in the world, but if you don't have good advertising, then it means moot. And let's face it, as much as I hate the reasoning, the sports festival is one of the best advertisings in the face of My Hero Academia's world.
Aizawa literally calls it that, like when he's giving them the briefing on it. He's like, he's like, you're gonna have one time a year, 3 times in your lifetime to make an impression.
So yeah, I see what you're saying on the one hand, but on the other, I kind of like it myself because it does show us that people can use more than their quirks in order to succeed in this particular world. Almost like Batman, in a sense.
Again, I don't have an issue with her presence. I'm just like, something about her introduction felt awkward, but maybe that's just me.
I think I still liked it. And even then, I do want to note, since we're starting the tournament arc, it could be argued that while Class 1A had development during certain parts of Season 1, I would say that it's here where we actually get to learn more about them, in large part due to the nature of the tournament arc itself. Because I also know that this was done, the tournament arc was done really early in the show's history. Whereas a lot of tournament arcs in other anime go kind of like...
Yeah, they wait way longer.
It kind of... Then this show kind of had to do the tournament arc because it had such a big cast of characters. Because otherwise, it would be really hard to like individually introduce them. Like say like, oh yeah, we're doing one class of Pokemon. No, this is a great way to kind of introduce everyone. And so I will say that's one of the best parts about this arc.
A couple of things to touch on for the race portion.
Sure.
I forgot that Shoji could glide, because I'm pretty sure this is the only time we see him doing it.
Oh, he does. I don't even remember that in the show.
I forgot that he did that.
Criminy.
Because I'm pretty sure we never see him do that again. Given later seasons of like, wait a minute, that feels like it would have come in handy way more than it did.
Yeah. And then I did write down here regarding that. Test 2 has the school actively trying to kill students. But I'm sorry, but a giant chasm with multiple tightrope walks is actually insane unless you have those quirks like Bakugo, Sue, or even Tentacle and Zero. I'm sorry. Like, that's just... If you were like a 15-year-old high school student who did not have a quirk... Honestly, I feel like Aizawa may have designed that part of the obstacle course. That makes way too much sense. Yeah,
because it's like, if you're not going to stare death in the face and move on anyways, you don't have a right to be in this industry.
Which then moves on.
Maybe it was just Nezu. Maybe it was just Nezu who came up with the course. But I'm just like, this has Aizawa written all over it.
Segue to the landmines.
Huh? Landmines. Landmine! Holy shit, they planted landmine!
Oh, I found the landmines.
Oh my god, they planted landmines?
Deku makes a galaxy brain play.
Oh my word, it's so well done. And I have the thing I have written here is that doesn't feel like cheating when Deku wins this part of the arc, because yeah, he's using his wits in a way that fits within the show's continuity and the moment's continuity, and that he's more than just one for all. It's such a good moment, and oh my word, it's just, and then he's like, if I can't win, I'm taking you guys down with me. Oh my word.
Basically.
It's such a good moment.
So there's something in terms of the artwork that I feel is important to set up here.
Sure.
Is that there's that moment where he's like, it does a freeze on when he's like kind of upside down alongside Todoroki and Bakugo.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time that we get a side view of the future Big Three. Do you know when's the last time we get that kind of side view?
I want to say in season 8, but I can't immediately think of it off the top of my head.
It's in My Hero Academia, You're Next.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Season 8, they're all separated except for like the last 2 minutes of the fight, and even then they don't all have a side long. This is actually Deku getting the first real, like, indisputable win for the first time in his life.
That's
probably.
True. Oh, imagine
like he's scraped by, like I mentioned earlier that he's gotten some wins in season 1, but he was cutting it close. This is like, no, he won, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And he didn't use his quirk. He didn't even have to use his quirk to do it.
That's crazy to think.
Like, that is an indisputable win for him. The other thing is that I was like, Ida's shook, and I feel like that's kind of justified because I'm just like, wait a minute, how did he not place higher in a race of all things? See, Shiozaki, Vine Hair Girl, placed ahead of him. I'm like, how did that happen?
The Ida family is in shambles after that.
For multiple reasons, but I wouldn't have had as much of a problem with a Class 1B student pulling ahead of him if it made sense. Like Vanta Black, the guy that's like all shadow and like can move through darkness and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
I'm like, if you made him win, or if you made him get ahead of Ida, I would have bought that. I would have absolutely bought that. But Vine Girl,
the weird, who we can't even remember her name, and she's only referred to as Vine Girl.
Shiozaki is her name.
I couldn't remember her name, so thanks for ruining the joke.
You're welcome. I'm like, if there's an explanation, I'd love to hear it, because I cannot for the life of me understood how that happened.
Because it was deemed by the writers.
Okay. And then last note on this is that the closing with them explaining the headband thing, this is possibly one of the best handicaps given to a prior winner in a competition that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I wrote down here regarding that, the only thing more stupid than the 10 million point banner is the mechanics of the golden snitch.
The golden snitch is questionable. Here it makes sense though.
True, I'll give it that.
Given the industry that they work in and given the way that the competition is set up, it makes sense that they would arrange it like that.
I do want to throw out one of the biggest notes I had here regarding that is that this moment is a huge foreshadow of all the villains gunning for Vigilante Deku in Season 6. How literally everyone wants to get their hands on him. And I don't know if that was intended by Horikoshi. I don't know if that was intended by Horikoshi when he wrote this, but this is so it shows that Deku has played this game before, where everyone's trying to get their hands on him in a literal and metaphorical sense.
I honestly hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing right there. But so
that blends straight into
17.
That blends straight into episode 17. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. This does something interesting because again, we see that Deku continues to have mental issues, where he's just like, "Oh, we're back to everybody picking on me again."
Okay. Back to giving up on my dreams.
All right, it's like back to square one. Okay, but he's also starting to understand like the pressure of what he's taking on as All Might's apprentice.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's very true.
It's like, oh, this is what this is gonna look like all the time. Well, okay.
Yeah, that's what's. And then I just wrote down here that Ochako continues to be the best with teaming up with Deku, even though everyone's like doing their best to like try to distance themselves from him for relatively understandable reasons.
Yeah.
And then even on top of that, the fact that Bakugo genuinely doesn't remember anyone else's name or quirk was basically how I was when I first started watching the show back in like 2016.
Bakugo starts the nickname game, but Kirishima has a common brain cell with him. He's like, he knows Bakugo's gunning for the win. He's pretty confident that he can do it. He's like, he's like, all right, I've fought alongside this guy. I know how to get inside his head. So it's not like he's not like Kirishima's not duplicitous. He's just like he understands how the game works at this point.
Yeah, I do also think it's interesting how Ida actively splits up with Deku and Ochako to prove himself ultimately, which would then lead into the second half of season 2, which we'll talk about later. But I do think that that's a very interesting moment for him. And then we also get so many other interesting... Well, we get a lot of introductions for characters. We get more of Mei Hatsume, who was introduced last episode, but is definitely more showcased here.
I need to touch on a couple things that you were just talking about. So Uraraka, best girl. And it's interesting that we were talking earlier, we made a couple of Harry Potter references here, because there's a stereotype that gets broken. Ida breaks the stereotype and dissolves the golden trio. Like, there's usually the rule of 3 that work together. He's like, nah, I'm out.
And then he does
it for a good reason. Well, I don't know if good reason is the right word.
He does it for a reason that is understandable.
But yeah, you understand why he's going to do it. And then for Hatsume's introduction, I wrote verbatim, Hatsume is a gremlin, and I'm starting to like her for some reason. Unfiltered honesty. Her and Deku also find a common brain cell.
Yeah, no, that's true. I really like...
Because they both geek out about hero tech. This is also the first time we see Uraraka getting jealous.
I think... Oh... Yeah, that's right. See, here's the thing. I do really like
Ochako hasn't had to have any competition for his attention from a girl before. This is kind of the first time this happened. Like, obviously she hasn't laid claim on him or anything like that. But we start to see she's bothered by this for some reason.
Yeah, that's interesting because I do want to throw out that Mei Hatsume is one of 3 female characters that I constantly enjoy watching in My Hero Academia. One of the other ones being Ochako. And then the last one I'm not going to mention here because she doesn't show up for a while. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
But I'm not going to mention them here. But with that being said, I do really like how Mei is handled here specifically because she reminds me a lot of Batman specifically. And I do think that's kind of interesting in the world of My Hero Academia. We also get the intro for 2 other characters. One, we get the intro for Endeavor, who we'll talk more about in later on this podcast. But we also get the intro. We also get the intro of Monoma, and we see Monoma.
Do you know who his voice actor is?
I know who he is, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
That's Ishigami from Kaguya. The best guy in that show is
word.
Monoma.
Oh my word.
I was like, I thought you were gonna get because like both of us love that guy.
He's one of the best characters in anime. I didn't even
who that was.
Oh my! How did I not pick that up? That's crazy. I wrote down here that Monoma makes the single worst decision that anyone could have made in this Cavalry battle, and actively ticks off Bakugo. One does not
even Aizawa says it later. He's just like, yeah, they didn't account for how mad and stubborn this guy can get.
Oh man! And then what very last note for
he
this
says
episode.
Overwhelming tenacity, but we can read between the lines.
Yeah. One last note for episode 17 because I don't have a whole lot to say. It's interesting how Tokoyami is a main character for this moment.
I had a slightly different take on it. So I thought Deku might bring Shinzo into the fold when I first watched the show.
Sure.
I was like, oh okay, like we've seen this guy in the opening sequence. We don't know what his quirk is officially at this point. Like you kind of maybe get a sense of it if you were paying attention to what was happening in the race, but we don't have it down for sure. I never would have guessed that they were going to pick Tokoyami.
Yeah, no, that was an interesting call, but
which like it's a great testament to Horikoshi's writing in that like he can have any of the secondary characters come in to help the main cast and it makes sense.
It does. It like really immediately. Does. Yeah, I do love that because like it's almost like the secondary cast is interchangeable, but everyone still works. They're still great written characters. Like no one feels wasted in the sense that they could be used whenever the story needs them to be. Otherwise, I will admit sometimes they get to be a bit much and I forget about them in the background. But when Horikoshi needs like a specific person from the class, he is able to use them and write them in just such a way that it doesn't feel forced. It's great.
Yeah, and then final note. I wrote Todoroki as Zuko because he talks about how he will not use his left side, and he's looking at Endeavor when he does it, which I'm sure Horikoshi knew about The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, 100%.
No one can convince me otherwise. I'm sure he knew. And I am like 95% certain that he played on that expectation that Endeavor was the one who gave him the burn.
Yeah, that's... Oh!
I'm like, because when we find out, like, we'll get to that in a bit, but I was like, when I found out the actual origin of the scar, I was like, oh no.
Crazy.
That was not what I was expecting.
Boy, that's just crazy. But anyways,
that's wild.
episode 18, and speaking of the Zuko comparison, I just wrote down, Bakugo, I've never been calmer, can't you tell? Has the same energy as, I don't need any calming tea.
Any calming tea.
Oh man, this show is so
You're
funny
right,
though.
It's the same energy.
It's so funny.
My opening note was, Aizawa is providing better commentary than present Mike is.
He really is.
I'm genuinely more entertained by what Aizawa is saying, like, and not just like in an information sort of way. I'm just like, no, he's unintentionally being funnier than Mike.
Oh, he's peak. Aizawa.
What I love about Mike is that he's not like put off by it. He's like, oh, I'm gonna feed. He's like, this is why they work.
Mm-hmm.
Like Aizawa tries to be unbothered, and Mike just feeds into it.
Oh, it's great. That's how you know you have a good friendship dynamic. Just like as with written characters, It's so well done. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of notes for episode 18. I do find it interesting how Ida was his team's MVP, because without him, they probably wouldn't have done as well as they did, let's be blunt.
Oh, no, not at all. So here's an interesting thing, is that Tokoyami's Dark Shadow actually fails against Yayorozu in the cavalry battle.
Does it?
They pit their quirks against each other, and she manages to drive Dark Shadow off.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
It lends to his adaptability. Like, we get to see like how quickly he adapts, because he beats her like almost instantly in the quarterfinals, or whatever. Not even the quarterfinals, the first bracket. Yeah. I just thought that was interesting to note that like it's a complete role reversal.
Yeah. And the other notes,
and Dark Shadow is hilariously cute.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where it's like, well, I don't want to like go into too much of a tangent because we could easily spend way too much time on this. But Tokoyami's quirk is Dark Shadow. It's basically his own shadow that has its own, that he can control and manipulate. But at the same time, like, is that his quirk? Like, then why does he like look like a bird? Is that a part of his quirk? Like, what's the rule here? Like, is that just me?
I think one of his parents had avian attributes.
Okay, then okay, you know what? I'll accept that.
And the other one probably had a shadow quirk of some kind.
Sure. And then, but yeah, we do see two things I wrote down that is interesting. One, I have written verbatim. Monoma learns that there are consequences for your actions.
I wrote down, Monoma has some moves to go with his attitude, which makes him more insufferable, but Bakugo continues to show rapid-fire intelligence between bouts of rage, making him different from a lot of shonen hotheads.
That's true, because he's not just an angry person who's angry for the sake of being angry, because we mentioned this briefly in the last episode, in the last podcast, but
he's smart.
Bakugo is smarter than most people give him credit for. Bakugo.
Pomeranian. Now, interestingly enough, for his intelligence, he succumbs to his tunnel vision like he did in the race.
Yeah, he does.
And in the race, his tunnel vision was focused on Todoroki, which allowed Deku to just completely bypass him.
Sure.
And blindside him. But we're still seeing that he's growing and learning here, because he was still overhyped on his own confidence of like, I can win this all the way.
Sure.
He's like, I can be the indisputable champion of this whole thing. You could have been an indisputable champion if you had gone for the win, dude.
Yeah, no, that's
like,
true.
I'm convinced that if he had stolen the headband from Deku, Todoroki's team would not have been able to get it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%.
Bakugo would be able to keep away from them so easy.
Yeah, and speaking of headbands, my last note I have here, Tokoyami coming in clutch with his team.
Oh, yeah. I wrote, why did Deku only grab the top one? It's a good thing Tokoyami is a sneaky boy.
Yeah, he is a very sneaky boy, but I think it was just...
no sense to me. I was like, why did you only... I'm like, you had the moment to grab multiple. Like, we saw Monoma do that, and we saw Bakugo do that.
Maybe it was just like a spur-of-the-moment thing, and because... Well, here's the thing, because, like, with stuff like that, as someone who's been in that position before, where, like, even in high school or in grade school, when we played games like that, it's really hard to grab multiple things at once, even in one hand. So, like, it's like even trying to keep your grip on one. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, that's true. He was coming.
Okay. Honestly,
clutch.
like, so a bit of context to why this might be a little bit harder for me to grasp is so I'm a martial arts instructor. There's a specific type of sparring that we do, especially for earlier students. It's called flag sparring. What we do is we take two pieces of fabric, we slot them inside of someone's belt. The goal is to get the two pieces of fabric out of your opponent's belt before they take yours. You're allowed to do blocks. You can't do strikes because there's no armor. We're just trying to get used to the idea of blocking very quickly and making darting movements.
Of course.
So I'm used to doing that and watching people do that on the regular to where they're very quick with it. And like they're very accurate. And a lot of them, the smarter ones, will grab both of them at the same time. They won't just stick to the one.
That's actually a very good perspective. I'm glad you gave that. But as someone who's like played like a lot of like grade school games where it was like just trying to grab the other person's flag, in the heat of the moment, especially in like the hot sun when adrenaline is high and there's a timer limit, it's really easy to lose your nerves or to like try to grab something and then you lose your grip and you're trying to just keep that. It gets really difficult. Really not difficult per se, but it's harder than one would think from an outsider looking in.
Fair enough. Yeah, but, I academically I can understand that.
Sure. But speaking of, so that's the end of the cavalry battle, which then leads to the start of the one-on-one fights.
No. This leads into Todoroki. So we're in episode 19.
Yeah.
This leads to Todoroki becoming My Hero Academia's biggest meme.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Are you all my secret love child?
Are you all my secret love child or something?
The memes that came out of that are ludicrous.
It was the meme factory when he said that. It's just
oh my goodness.
I think like the Charlie Day conspiracy meme where it's just I'm a Todoroki, but like oh my secret love child. Oh my word! But yeah, that's right. We do get that incredible memeable line, and then I wrote this
Justin
down.
Briner kills it with the humor delivery. I gotta note that real quick.
Yeah,
he's like, am I his? What?
What are you? He's like, what are you talking about?
Just that one line. I'm just like, I don't know if that should make me laugh as hard as it did, but he delivered it so well.
If somebody asked you if you were like, are you the United States president's secret love child or something, you would be like, what are you talking about?
God, I hope not. I hope not.
Anyways, but we do get the introduction to one of the best, most intense, and most consequential backstories in the entire series, with that little snippet that Todoroki tells Deku, yeah, where he's like, oh yeah, by the way, my mother poured boiling water on my face.
Yeah, I was talking about this earlier. It's like, oh, he's not Zuko.
Yeah, no,
but kind of.
He's anti-Zuko.
Katara burned him instead. He's the anti-Zuko, yeah.
Oh man.
So my next note is, poor All Might wants to be a good teacher, but he asks possibly the worst person for help, which makes the later reversal, him teaching Endeavor about being the #1 hero, very interesting.
That is, I didn't think about that because that is interesting.
Because he's coming to Endeavor for advice here.
Yeah,
later on we see when Endeavor's lost, he comes to All Might, the guy that he's hated more than anything up to now.
Yeah, and on a similar note, I just wrote down, and quote, Endeavor friggin' sucks. And then I continue with that.
Endeavor belongs in prison.
the way I put it here in my notes is that he starts off as almost cartoonishly in a morally gray sphere, but it works. I hate to say it, he belongs in a prison, but at the same time, the way he's written here works for the kind of world of My Hero Academia.
Sad truth to admit that there are people like that who have enough money to get away with it.
Yeah, which we're not going to talk about because that would be getting too political for my taste. But yeah, no, I do think that Endeavor, he's introduced with a bang. I will say that, not a conventional one, but he definitely leaves an impression. And then I just wrote down here, this is so stupid, in quotes, nice Todoroki costume, but your scar's on the wrong side.
The scar's not on the wrong side.
The scar's not on the wrong side.
Oh man. Fast forwarding through the stupid cheerleader bit.
Actually, I do have one note about the cheerleader bit.
Mineta belongs to jail. Kaminari should be counted as an accomplice.
I do have one note about the cheerleader thing. Yes, okay. Kaminari and Mineta are very, very horrible in this. But I would be lying if I said that the cheerleader outfits weren't very good character designs. It may be weird to say, but
kind of like the PE uniforms.
I cannot say what you will about that entire scene, but you cannot deny Mineta and Kaminari's got style. To quote Harry Potter.
They didn't design it. The school designed it.
I know, but the Harry Potter quote wouldn't work otherwise. But with that being said, I do think that they're good designs. What can I say? I have to acknowledge that.
Fair enough. Required shonen tournament begins.
Yes! And actually, I did want to get your thoughts about this because I realized in a majority of the anime that I personally watch, a lot of them don't have tournament arcs. Like, the majority of tournament arcs that I've seen is like the gym battles in Pokemon League and Pokemon. And obviously the My Hero Academia one here. But aside from that, I haven't really seen a whole lot of tournament arcs. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, collectively, I wanted to get your thoughts on this compared to like other kind of arcs in other anime.
I mean, so I'll list off some of the ones that I've seen. You know, Dragon Ball Z, obviously. There's Yu Yu Hakusho. There's I haven't seen Hunter x Hunter, but I know that it's in
something
there.
About like the exam
Black Clover
arcs
has
and the Chunin exams.
So
or something?
Black Clover actually has a really good tournament arc.
Oh, okay.
Naruto. So Naruto and Black Clover are actually the two that are very similar.
Okay.
Because they have a different purpose. There's something of an aspect of like, yes, I'm going to prove that I'm number one. But in those two arcs in particular, being number one doesn't necessarily mean that you win. Because in Naruto, they are competing for the chance to advance their rank as ninja. But the evaluators aren't just looking at whoever wins, they're looking at the way they win. They're looking at, okay, who are they stacked up against? Like, could they have done better here? Like, one of in that arc, the only guy that actually gets promoted is the guy that gives up after he won his match. He had his opponent ready to surrender, and he's like, I give up. And everybody's like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, I may have won this, but I'm too tired. I will not win. He's like, if I go to the next match, I will not win. I'm not doing it.
Okay, dang. And so
he got promoted for his intellect and understanding of the matter.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then in Black Clover, they all these wizards are competing to see who gets to be part of a special strike team that's going to go against the big bads, right?
Sure.
And again, it's not who wins, but it's how they're more measuring your ingenuity.
Okay. And in comparison to like
to a degree those aspects do play somewhat here into the UA Sports Festival. In that the school itself is looking to crown a number one, but the people in the audience, the heroes, the ones that are scouting potential talent, they're the ones that are more interested in like, okay, not only are they going to win, but how are they going to do it?
Definitely. We do see that kind of like at the end slightly. We'll talk more about that in detail, but we do see how like Todoroki gets more requests as opposed to Bakugo, partially because of Bakugo's entire personality, which I do think
his attitude.
Yeah,
personality.
He's got poisonality.
I got poisonality.
I do need to make a note on Ojiro.
Sure.
Because all the ones that all the tournaments that I just talked about, everybody is still gunning to be number one in some regard or another. Ojiro kind of breaks away from that stereotype where he's like, yeah, I want to be number one, but I want it to be me who won, not someone else making me win. Right? That's like he shows a sense of honor in a world full of attention seekers. If you really get down to the bare bones of it, everybody there is an attention seeker to some degree. And he's like, no, the attention that I would get from this is not worth it because I didn't earn it.
Yeah, no, that's
and the other guy from Class B, he does the same, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, I do also say, well, yeah, I have an entire thing about that, but I'm not going to go into that because it'll take way too long. But I do have two last notes regarding this episode, but that's an interesting point you did with Ojiro because I did see that, but I didn't really dwell on it. So I'm glad you brought that up. But aside from that, I have two last notes. One kind of like two of which are mostly comedic. The side games that they included just continue to make me wonder how this made the Olympics obsolete. Beating kids, okay, that makes sense, but like, hey, we're looking for a blue tie in the audience. Oh man, this is truly compelling stuff as opposed to champion gunslinging in the Olympics, like that
javelin or shot put.
I basically like, oh my. Just change that one line. Just change that one line, and I would be satisfied. It's one line that makes this entire thing tumble down for me.
All you have to say is like it's one of the most viewed events in the country.
That's all you have to say. That's all you have to say. But you don't. You make me go into this entire rabbit hole of what it would be like to remove the Olympics. Anyways, the second line. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you first.
The second thing I wrote is when President Mike says, "So put your morals aside and don't be afraid to play dirty." And I just wrote, that's a lawsuit just waiting to happen.
Yep. I don't disagree. Okay, so I have two notes myself to close this off. So one's an artistic one, is that I don't know why it took me this long to notice, but Uraraka's face is actually rounder in the last two seasons than it is later on. Like even starting in season 3.
I did notice in season 1 that her face
she never
really
gets like a jawline, I would say. But it is rounder here than it is later on. And that kind of, like, and I talked about this in the last podcast. It's like this show is really good at aging its characters. And this is another example of like, I didn't realize that her face actually looked different here than it does later on. Like, and I'm talking about even before they become adults.
Sure. Yeah,
the other thing that I wanted to note is that this is the first time we talk about using One for All in terms of percentages.
I'm trying to remember that. Is in what? So, what's the context?
This is where all might tells them. Yeah, I think you could use One for All at like 5% right now.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. He does mention. Yeah, that is the first time we talk about in terms of percentage.
Which is interesting because like that becomes such a mainstay. That becomes such a mainstay
gauge
concern for Deku is like how much power is he using?
Yeah. No, I agree. That's like
it's like am I gonna break myself with this? Obviously we're a fair ways off from full cowling, but he's starting to think about it.
Yeah. No, that's true.
He's starting to think about what will become full cowling.
Yeah. But anyways, moving on to episode 20, I just wrote down, Shinso has I'd win energy.
Oh, that's funny.
Just the face of Shinso and face of Gojo's like, I'd win. And then he's immediately thrown out of the ring.
I win. That's basically his quirk. And I do write down that something that I noted while kind of looking up on him is that Shinso, so there's another series out there that Shinzo is a type of vampire.
You mean
vampires were known for the hypnotic abilities?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So I'm wondering if that's not a reference. I'm wondering if that's not a reference to that fact.
See this man. I can make him say whatever I want to. Like, watch this. White Chicks was amazing. White Chicks was amazing. He believes it too.
He believes it.
Oh man, but no, that I didn't think about that.
Here we get so you touched on this. You touched on this about the entrance exam last time. This is important, where we get Aizawa spitting facts about the flaws of UA's hero course, and their admittance in particular, where he's just like, yeah, this guy's quirk is scary strong, but it's not going to do anything against a robot.
Yeah, no, that's again
like over the PA system in front of the world. He's like, yeah, this school's admittance system sucks. You work for the school. I
wrote that down too, and I did write down in a subline where it's just I hate how it makes sense that Mineta outperforms Shinso in the entrance exam in terms of their quirk abilities.
We don't talk about that.
I hate it.
We don't talk about that.
I hate it, but I get it. But yeah, no. Moving on to two notes about this. One,
Deku sees dead people.
Deku sees dead people. I see dead people in boats. But no, I did write down that this was a very interesting way to introduce the vestiges of One for All. And I wrote down that I don't love it, but at the same time, I don't hate it either. Maybe that's just me, because I kind of get like how he's in this kind of like mind haze, how he's not in control, that it would make sense. But at the same time, it just feels like a really off time to introduce the vestiges for me. Just, like,
honestly, like, given the fact that One for All and All for One later on start to resonate in the sense of a Mindscape battle type of thing, I think that given the overarching plot and that particular mechanic, I think this was a good time and place to introduce that.
Sure.
And something to think about later is that, so each time that Shinzo fights Deku, something with the vestiges happen.
Yeah, wait. Yeah, that's right. I didn't think about that. Because the next time we see Shinzo is it season 5 or season 6? I can't remember which one it is.
Season 5.
It is season 5. Yeah, but that's where he like first unlocks like the second Black Whip, the second quirk of One for All, or the second access.
That's the
quirk
fifth one, but yeah,
the second access.
One
for All. It's interesting because we see, and they call this out like a few minutes after I wrote down the note, then they call it out in the episode. Like we see, interestingly, we see Deku use the same reversal he used on Bakugo, and it even cuts to Bakugo himself noticing that. And then they immediately say like, oh yeah, he's been using everything he learned, which makes sense. It's a school, he's supposed to use what he's learned, and I do really like that. It's just a nice little animation and character thing that I do really love that they included.
Something to note is how strong Deku actually is,
physically
even
speaking,
without the quirk. Physically, because he's not only is he not using his quirk, he's got 2 broken fingers. I've had broken fingers. I'm not,
and he's able to like literally pick up an entire.
I'm not tossing a 130-pound guy. I'm not tossing a guy that weighs 120, 130 pounds.
That takes some strength,
like,
right
over
there,
my shoulder. That's without a. I'm like, this guy's strong.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Like, the boy is built at this point.
Yeah, that's true. But it was a great way to end the first match.
One thing I wanted to know is like Shinzo has some really genuine reasons for being salty. Like he's super dramatic about it, but he's in high school.
Yeah. But hey, they even call that out, like, both by Deku and All Might. Like, yeah, I want to refute you, because I totally understand it. And even All Might, there's, like, I can imagine how you could have lost your cool, because he probably, I heard some of the things, and he's probably resonated with you, didn't it?
No, he didn't say that I couldn't imagine. He's like, I couldn't see. It wasn't about losing his cool. He's like, I can imagine. He's like, that seems like it probably was pretty hard for you to hear, because you grew up in a similar way to him.
Yeah. But moving on from Shinzo, I do say,
Miss Joke!
Oh yeah, we do see Miss Joke. That's right.
Miss Joke is in the.
I noticed that when I was watching, but I didn't write it down. But yeah, no, that's right. We do see Miss Joke for the first time.
So do you know who her voice actress is?
I know you've mentioned it before, but I can't think of it to save
It's
my
Android
life.
18 from Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Okay, that I'm not from it because I haven't seen I need to watch it at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it.
You haven't seen Dragon Ball Z Abridged?
I started watching Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and I watched like the first 4 episodes or something, but then I dropped it, and I saw the Christmas special because you sent that to me, but otherwise, I haven't really seen any of it.
The first season's a little rough because they're figuring themselves out as voice actors and editors.
But that's the abridged
season
voice
2 and
actress?
onward in particular. It's the abridged voice actress.
Oh, that's actually really cool. Like, it's not just the Android 18; it's just like the abridged voice. That's actually really cool.
Do you know what one of the first things Justin Briner did? It was a small cameo in Dragon Ball Z Abridged. He voiced adult Gohan.
Oh. Yeah, I need to get back into my voice acting class because I've been playing that off for way too long, and I really want to get into that again. And I have no excuse because I've had so much free time. But anyways, that's really cool. That's really cool.
So I wrote down is that I wonder if All Might had a suspicion that the vestiges would become clearer with Deku than they were with him.
Yeah,
because he mentions that he saw the vestiges when he was younger, but then like they kind of stopped showing up to him.
Yeah.
And like Recovered Girl's like, so he saw you there, and he's like, yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. Like just something about the way that they're talking about as makes me wonder, like, did he know that or did he at least suspect that the vestiges would start, like, not that the quirks would manifest, but that he would be able to maybe talk to the past users.
I don't think it was ever fully explained past that single acknowledgement from him. At least I don't.
No, he talks about it more in seasons 5 and 6.
Okay, well, it's been a while, and we're gonna get there when we get to watching that. But I can't
get
think
there
about
when we
it.
get there.
The motto.
So here's something that I noted about the Sero versus Todoroki is that Sero probably would have won against most of the other competitors.
Yeah, that's true because like he's
There's
like
only a
literally
handful
the
of them I
perfect
can
kind
think
of
of where I'm like he literally got the worst matchup he could have.
Yeah, that's what we call
like if you had thrown if you had thrown him against even Tokoyami, I think he would have made him work for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's just
think about like all the other competitors. Like I think he would have been able to toss most of them.
Oh yeah, easily.
Like with the exception of Todoroki, Ashido, and Bakugo,
and Vine Girl. I think Vine Girl would have been able to avoid it.
No, he would have been able. He would have been able to. He would have been able to wrap up her hair and make it more difficult for her to control.
I disagree on that front for one main reason. Because we see her block Kaminari's lightning, and not that by itself would be able to stop it, but the fact that she has literally lightning reaction time, I think she would have been able to like make some kind of like wall to intercept the tape in time. Just because of that single
Here's the thing,
reaction.
though, is that even if she intercepted the tape, think about it. Even if she intercepted the tape, it would then become a matter of who could rack the other one up faster. Because immobilizing your opponent, as happens with Sero, is another way to win. And Aizawa talks about this earlier on. He's like, 1A has learned not to hesitate.
Yeah.
Like they've more or less their PTSD is working for them at this point.
You love to see it.
Again, honestly, I think if he had fought Shiozaki, maybe it would have been a closer fight. And honestly, I'm kind of like interested to see how that would go now, but I still think he would have won.
Yeah, but I did write down here regarding that fight. That fight is what it feels like to accidentally vent in a competition when you've had a really bad day. And I just wrote
Shoto throws the temper tantrum of a decade.
And I just wrote down in parentheses, there, dude.
It is a really good thing that Shigaraki never thought to take his quirk.
Oh my, yeah, because imagine. And
can you imagine if Shigaraki had taken half cold, half hot?
Pretty sure that the heaven-piercing ice wall, as his attack is called, is a safety hazard to the audience. Pretty sure of that.
Yeah.
Reminds me of like
sure.
in Pokemon when they introduced the Gigantamax, how they're just giant Pokemon. And the entire time playing that game, like all I can think is like, man, one of these giant Pokemon could easily whiff a flamethrower and like skew and burn half the audience alive. That's what heaven-piercing ice wall feels like. And very last very last note I have for this episode is, I swear that the nice try that everyone is screaming out is some kind of reference or joke in Japan, but I can't prove it because I don't know it. I swear it's some kind of reference or joke because it feels like it.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't know enough to say one thing.
I feel
one
like
way
the guy
or the
from
so let's go ahead and move on to episode 21.
Town 21. And Donkey versus that Vine Girl. Don't have a whole lot to say on. I literally have nothing to say on that.
I was like, I understand that Kaminari versus Shiozaki was necessary to back the narrative that Class B has potential similar to 1A, but this still felt like a throwaway match. Honestly, like, given what I just talked about, if I had written this, I would have done Kaminari versus Todoroki and Sero versus Ibarra, because that would have been a much more even matchup. Like, we already know that Kaminari's kind of a throwaway joke character.
Sure. Yeah, he kind of is.
So you could throw him at Todoroki. Yeah, he has his moments, but those start coming later on. Like right now, he's comedy character, so this could have been like a good place to. I feel like this almost might have done some good character development for him. Now that I'm thinking about it,
but it didn't.
Where it's like he got iced so fast he didn't even have time to try and show off. Would really be a good like, oh, I'm not all that kind of moment. And then again, Sero versus Shiozaki would have been way more even. So there's an important thing like in storytelling, like show don't tell, and it feels like a lot of Class B's hype has been them telling us we're just as good as Class 1A. Yeah, I'm sorry, but nothing in the narrative has happened to convince me otherwise.
Yeah, that's one of the small impediments of this entire season. How like the one person from not even from Class B, but from General Studies, Shinso is like the only one that's not Class 1A that has kind of like proven himself. But otherwise, not a whole
unhinged Monoma begins.
Oh yeah, that's right. We do start to see
like we've had Monoma being kind of spiteful and like a little bit competitive, and now he's just like he's already lost it.
You love to see it, and you love to see it even more when it gets worse. But moving on, Tenya versus Mei. And we talked about this kind of briefly. One of the weirdest ways of putting yourself out there, if not actively effective, because it is effective, let's be blunt.
This match was so funny.
It was. And, well, here's the thing. I wrote down, the fight goes on for 10 plus minutes. Pretty sure she would have been disqualified for, like, not actively trying after, like, the first few. But it's an anime.
Well, can you prove that can you prove that she's not gonna try? She shot him with a capture gun.
I feel like the serial killer thing where it's like, I can't prove it. Like, you know what I'm talking about? The guy's in the car. I can't prove it, but I know it. But you're right.
Like this match flushes out the role of the support course and Hatsume's personality like way better than trying to show off Class B's potential with Kaminari versus Shiozaki.
Well, it's interesting because one of the things that I threw out there is I love that her quirk is virtually unrelated to her personality or skill set, because that's not a bad thing or anything, but it's interesting comparison to show that people are significantly more than just their quirks. And it's more about like what they like.
Yes,
I
that was
really
great.
like that. And again, I made this joke about
with you on that.
I made this joke with you like a week ago, just in our private messages, but I was just mentioning like, oh, imagine Lady Nagant from season 6. She had May's quirk Zoom. She would be like even worse than she is currently. So majority of the following matches are really short, but they do more than enough to both be entertaining and to showcase the characters. I was going to just go through them in a lightning round, unless you had explicit things you wanted to talk about with them.
I can do this real quick. So Mina versus Aoyama honestly turned out differently than I thought it would initially. I thought he would have something up his sleeve to deal with someone getting too close to him as a subversion of expectations.
Sure.
That didn't happen. I see London, I see France, I see you in the ICU.
You love to see it.
Tokoyami shows his potential to surpass the recommendation students by way of quick adaptation from the last time he fought Yaoyorozu. And yes, Tokoyami's Dark Shadow goes on to become one of the greatest quirks ever. I agree with President Mike.
True.
Despite its absolute even playing field, Kirishima versus Tetsu is somehow more engaging than Kaminari versus Shiozaki. Maybe it's because Kirishima is just a more fun character to root for.
That's true. And then for that last one, I did write down here, Kaminari versus Tetsu is literally just Metapod versus Metapod, and therefore it's the best match in the entire My Hero show.
Metapod versus Metapod. Metapod versus... That is a great way to put that.
Metapod versus Metapod. Do your super Harden!
Harden!
Use Harden! But then really quickly with Yaoyorozu, I did think it was interesting how she thinks too much and acts too little, and that was what actively made her fail. And we do get that more in the in the series, but I did think that was interesting. But yeah, that's those in a lightning round. Again, the show continues to be super funny. Ida, Bakugo wouldn't use his full explosions on a girl. Deku, yeah, he would.
Deku, yes, he would.
Yes, he would. No hesitation.
So here's this is something that again I love finding as so rare in modern literature. Is where you have a girl that's awesome, not for the sake of girl power, but because she's just built that way.
That's really hard to do. And she
set herself apart. She sets herself apart in that she is doing this for her own self, for her character, not to carry the narrative, not to prove it. Like just because a man can do it, I can do it too.
That's really hard to do in any kind of.
So like one of the things I noticed, like her battle IQ, immature as it is still nearly able to catch Bakugo of all people by surprise multiple times.
Yeah, that's
because she does the floating uniform thing while he's fighting her in the smoke.
Yeah.
Right, and he thinks it's her, and she almost gets him with that.
Yeah, no, because I wrote down this battle is peak, and I did write down it's interesting seeing the two opposing mindsets of one, how he should be going a bit easier on her because of her gender, but also the other mindset of Bakugo going all out because he respects her. And I was on the fence of this for a long time for my own personal reasons, but ultimately I do really love this fight because of that mutual respect that they have for each other. And even Aizawa kind of like calls out, is like when someone's like, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, Aizawa and Monoma.
Like, yeah, he's like, where's the person that started this?
Like, wow, even the pros don't see it. This is stupid.
Yeah, because I mentioned this like in a message. I'm not going to bring up exactly what I said because that's an entire other can of worms. But I went back and forth on how to best tackle this because I do have two thoughts on it that I side both with. But ultimately, in the context of this show and in the context of the hero industry, as I like to put it, this is a really well done. This is really well done.
They both went in with the right attitudes.
Yeah.
I think. Something that I absolutely must note. I genuinely believe that Uraraka got the closest to beating Bakugo in the
100%. 100%.
If his reaction is to go, if his reaction to after blocking her attack is anything to go by, and he's impressed enough to have her be the first one in the class who he addresses by name.
Yeah.
He doesn't even call Kirishima by his name first.
And
he just calls him stupid hair. He's like stupid hair. It's like, my name's Kirishima. No, it's stupid hair. He calls her by her name. He doesn't do that with anybody in the series up to now.
It's an incredible moment for both of them.
Like, Yes,
and
then later on, he defends her tenacity to their classmates.
Yeah,
Kaminore's like, I can't believe you did that to a frail girl. And he's like, what part of her was frail?
Yeah, she's like, yeah, no, he's exactly. And I do want to throw out something tells me that the outcome would be kind of disingenuous if Bakugo did not win, but even then, it's still really well written. Especially the way that the fight ends with Uraraka being literally too exhausted to fight. It's just everything about that fight. If not, I think I like this fight more collectively than Deku versus Shoto. We'll talk about why that fight is peak in a moment, but I think out of the two fights, collectively, I think I prefer Uraraka versus Bakugo a bit more.
Interesting.
Just a bit.
I feel like I could go back and forth. On that one. I think Deku versus Shoto is better. But we can get into
sure.
It's not for a lack of trying with this fight.
No,
this is a seminal fight.
But no, segue to episode 23, which is largely considered not only one of the best episodes of season 2, but one of the best episodes of My Hero as a whole, from what I've seen online.
So real quick, Ojako, even in defeat, provides Deku with the help that he needs to get to his next match. I love that about their dynamic, is that they're always helping each other. Like, at any given time. They never sabotage each other. Like, that's one of the things I like. I know they're not officially in a relationship, but that's one of the things I love about their dynamic, is they're always helping each other. Like, even if it's unintentionally, they never sabotage one another. Which is something that a lot of like relationship shows do, is that like they'll sabotage each other in some way or another, like either on purpose or by accident. These two never do that, and I love that. And Ochako's dad is awesome. Like, he gives her such a good pep talk.
He really does, and I wrote that down here. It's peak emotional character moment with Uraraka and her dad. It's so good.
Yeah. On to Endeavor as a dad. Endeavor reminds me of a dad who peaked in high school and is now forcing his son to do what he failed to accomplish so that he can relive those days, even if only vicariously.
Oh no! That's the best way to put it, and I hate it! Oh no! Who's the better dad, Endeavor or Ozai?
That's the rabbit hole I do not care to go down. That is a rabbit hole I do not... Real quick, this one was more of a visual aesthetic thing than anything. When we see Endeavor's silhouette in Todoroki's background, it's a blue flame.
Oh,
in the silhouette, as Todoroki's leaving him behind, it is a blue fire.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, on to the actual fight between Shoto and Deku. I did write down a few key
Do you want to know what I called this episode?
What did you call this episode?
Deku versus the cold shoulder.
Yeah, that checks out. That checks out.
Tell me where the lie is.
So, but I did find it interesting how Deku has... he surpasses this, but in theory, he only has 8 possible attacks in this entire fight. And it's an interesting limit, and it's used really well. Again, he kind of like hurts himself beyond that 8 attacks, but it doesn't feel like a cop-out in any sense of the word. And it's also called out by Bakugo too, that quirks are a physical ability that can be depleted, essentially, like if you run too fast and you get tired. And that also Todoroki has a certain amount of stamina, largely because of his self-imposed limit. And this entire battle is literally just a war of attrition for the both of them.
Again, as an artist, the line work in this episode in particular stands out above the rest. I'm like, okay, so this is where the budget went.
Yeah.
This is where the budget went in this episode.
I will call out the specific moment, like the peak of their fight, when he finally brings out his flames and it's like that last confrontation. I just wrote down, in terms of cinematography,
even the moment leading up to that, like the close-ups on the two of them, like the line work is so good.
One of the best and well-animated fights of the entire tournament. It's so good.
Oh, yeah. Here's something that I want to note about Shoto's quirk in particular, though.
Sure.
It's very interesting. Shoto's speed with his ice is contrary to most portrayals to those with ice powers. Usually people with ice powers are slow, but strong. His speed is on another level with it. I don't know if it's a subconscious thing in writers' minds, but, ice is associated with slowing things down. Because, when something slows down, it gets colder.
Of course.
Some of the people commentate repeatedly on his speed, which again kind of plays it like, okay, don't tell me, show me, but boy, do they show me.
They really do. And I do like how Deku calls out Todoroki in more ways than one. Like, oh, you think you can win with half your strength? Or, that's why I'll give it my all, just like you should be. And then, of course, the king of all of these. It's yours! It's your quirk, not his! I mean, I'm doing it in a funny voice, but it's still such a good line.
Reiner, killing it.
He does.
Reiner absolutely destroying it with that delivery.
It's such a good line. And then that's a great line. And then one line that's like not immediately, but pretty soon after that is in a flashback that Shoto has with his mom. That's just as good. That doesn't get a whole lot of recognition. When his mom says, "You are not a prisoner of your lineage. It's okay for you to use your power." That is, I forgot that line existed, and it goes so hard. It's
so many things go about this series, but here's something. So we need to fast forward to season 8 again real quick here.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned in the last podcast that the shipwreck zone was one of the memories that popped up for Deku when he was interacting with All for One's mind. This here is one of the first memories where he and Shigaraki are standing across from one another in the combined mind state.
I remember that. I do.
That's how important this scene was to him. And I think there's a very solid reason intellectually why this is, because this is the first time that we see Deku try to save someone from themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the beginning of his becoming the hero that tries to save Tenko Shimura from Shigaraki.
Deku is literally destroying himself in his body just to force Todoroki's hand and to save him, because that's the thing. He will do literally. It's an incredible moment.
Up to this point, it's been about Deku living up to All Might's expectations and to some degree competing with Bakugo. But this is where he's really starting to work to save someone. And again, I can't stress how important this is. This is where we really see him step into the hero that he will become, the one that defeats Shigaraki by saving Tenko Shimura.
It's incredible. And then one last thing about this episode, we kind of glazed over it, but we do get more of Shoto's backstory period. And in terms of the actual presentation of the flashback backstory in general, the cinematography, the storytelling, the sound design of the boiling kettle acting as
Yuki Hayashi once again reminding everyone why he is anime John Williams.
Yeah, because even that kettle being a representation of his mom's mentality slowly breaking until it literally boils over. The sound design, it's such a well portrayed moment. Everything that you can do as a filmmaker. Yeah, everything you could do as a filmmaker and not just a storyteller, but as a filmmaker is done in that scene. And that's part of the reason why this is such a highly rated episode, even among non-fans.
Another thing as an artist that I must illustrate here, no pun intended.
Of course.
Something tragic about Rei's breakdown, Todoroki's mother, something tragic about her breakdown in a visual sense is that she only sees Endeavor in them, when all 4 of the children actually resemble her more strongly in a physical sense. Look at their facial features, look at their builds. They're all built Dobby's the one exception to where if you erase the scars, he actually has a very similar face to Endeavor when he was younger. All the children look more like Rei than they look like Endeavor.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting
that's so
note.
sad that that's all she can see in them.
It's again, what else can be said about this? It's just it's well done.
Last thing I'll note for the episode is that this is Flash Freeze Heatwave's debut, and it kind of confirms for everyone that these 2 students are already capable of icing, pun intended this time, 90% of the villains of the world.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'm pretty sure they would have iced most of the people in that stadium. Let's be blunt.
The students' power crawl seems slow because of the villains they have to fight. The main characters, the villains they fight, are always a cut above the rest. Some of the rest of the Class of 1A characters, they fight more standard villains, and therefore they struggle more. But Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku are always up against the most insane villains you can find. But if you stick them against most of the run-of-the-mill villains, the 3 of them could sneeze and they'll blow those villains over.
I mean, we kind of see that in the USJ attack from season 1, how they kind of just easily take out most of the...
But this takes it to a new spectacle.
It really does. It really does. I think we can move on to the second to last episode of the tournament arc, episode 24, and where it starts.
So I have an opening note.
Okay, go ahead, give your opening note.
It starts off really good. My note was that watching Shoto tell Endeavor to suck eggs without being all pissy about it is way more satisfying to watch.
I literally have
because like before he was like kind of throwing it. That's hilarious.
I just wrote down like
hilarious.
I love the line he gives like out there in that one moment. I forgot all about you.
I forgot about you.
It goes so hard. It goes so hard.
But like, so before when he walked out onto the field, he was being kind of a brat, and now walking back in, he's like, I don't care.
Yeah, screw you. I don't care.
Maybe you're dead to me. I don't care about you.
But yeah, that's a great way to start the episode. It's so good. I forgot about it before, but this is the first time that other members of Class 1A meets Toshinori instead of All Might.
Mm-hmm.
So I did think that was interesting, because that just implies like he doesn't, even when no one knows that he's All Might, he doesn't even like show himself just in general, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was Deku who said this line at first, but it was All Might who said, meddling where you don't technically have to is the essence of being a hero. Which I was like, oh wait, All Might said that. I forgot about that.
Well, Deku says that All Might said that when he's fighting Stain.
Oh yeah, I get. Well, yeah, but everyone just remembers.
The line literally is, All Might was right though. Meddling where you don't technically have to is the essence of being a hero.
Yeah.
But what my main takeaway from the first part of this episode is that Deku starts to deal with long-term consequences for his actions, unlike the temporary ones up to now. Unlike most shows with like healing and magic abilities, Recovery Girl sets a boundary that forces Deku to rethink his approach to future situations on a more consistent basis. She's like, if you do this to yourself again, I'm not helping you.
Yeah, because Deku
like, you need to get your stuff together.
When he used his quirk for the first time, he didn't realize it would be that destructive, and then he immediately got it healed by Recovery Girl. So now he no longer, like you said, he no longer has that.
No longer has an insta fix for the situation.
Yeah.
She is. I think my problem with the Class B representative is that it was Shiozaki. Like, nothing against her as a person. I'm just like,
she's boring.
Her abilities were. She's boring.
She's boring. Here's the thing. We'll get to this in extensive discussion when we get to season 5. But see, as much as they try to showcase Class B in season 5. It's just so boring. I'm sorry, but a majority of them for me.
I had fun with that. Like, I think you and I are going to have quite a few disagreements on season 5.
I want us to have disagreements because I feel like we've been doing nothing but agree, and I want us to have disagreements.
You want us to have disagreements? Well, we're going to have to wait till season 5 to have more disagreements then, I guess.
Okay, I will actively try to find more disagreements.
Oh, you're gonna pick a fight? You're gonna pick a fight? Okay.
I need to be a hater because that's where the views come. People want to see strife. Oh man, I say that in jest, but I also say that seriously.
When it comes to My Hero Academia,
this
is the confirmation that All Might was quirkless originally.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing that I wrote down too, and I do like how
I honestly thought that was the case to begin with. To a degree, like I thought that One for All was just passed on through quirkless people.
Okay.
Like combining it with other quirks, like I don't know what this like. Normally, I'm able to pick this stuff out ahead of time, but like I genuinely just kind of went, wait. Why didn't I think about this before? Combining One for All with other quirks that would be crazy.
Yeah. But I do like how when Deku asks, like, All Might, why did you choose me as your successor? I really, really love how All Might doesn't give Deku the tired speech of like, oh, hey, you're special, or anything like that, because I think that's always just like a cop-out. But I love how it's not that. It's just like, I chose you because I chose you. That's basically his reasoning.
I liked what I saw, essentially.
Moving on from that.
Ingenium.
Oh, yeah. This has a...
I'm like, I honestly, because of the scene's cutoff, like where he lands and is like squaring up with Stan, I was like, oh, he's going to die. Well, like, legit, I thought he was going to die.
One of the things I like about this moment specifically is for most arcs in not only shows, but in anime specifically, usually it then cleans up everything that's doing in that arc before moving on to the next one, in a general sense. Maybe you'll leave like little tidbits here and there to kind of like hint at what's coming, but generally speaking, it deals with one arc and it goes to the next one. This season specifically does a great job with the transition because it still has like 2 or 3 episodes of the sports festival left, and it still like introduces Stain and that conflict while the sports festival is still happening, and I love that transition. Partially because it gives Tenya an early motivation for his actions in part 2 of season 2. But yeah, we just don't see a whole lot of those kinds of transitions like that, at least in anime.
But one of the things that I really appreciate about the tournament's progression is that Shoto's identity crisis is not yet resolved. it didn't get fixed in the course of one fight, unlike a lot of shonen series.
Yeah, no, I like that too. I really
like they'll just do a
too.
complete 180 after one battle. And it's like he's turning around, but he hasn't gotten all the way there yet.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
So I do have to comment on Stain's voice actor. Like I know I've mentioned this in the Discord and all that, but I got to hang out with Stain's voice actor for like a good half hour, and like the guy was so fun to talk to.
That's
like,
awesome.
He got typecasted as villains for a really long time, like because he's really good at it.
I would love to be typecast as a villain. Are you kidding me?
He wasn't ungrateful for it because he's like, no, he's like, I love my job, but he was like, I was kind of getting tired of doing the same old. Playing villains was all he did. So he plays a character in Black Clover. Again, I'm going to bring that show up because that one's fun.
Sure.
He plays a character called Julius Novachrono, who was just this big magic geek. Like he's like a middle-aged, confident Deku who like has all the who kept one for all.
I love how you have to specify
like,
he's a middle-aged, confident Deku because Deku is normally
middle-aged, confident Deku. Like he's a giant geek, and like. You know, I'd seen this role like prior to meeting this guy, and I was like, hey man, I just want you to know, like, the Wizard King is my favorite role you play. And this guy's face lit up like a Christmas tree. Yeah, he's the Wizard King in Black Clover.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Julius Novachrono is his name.
Okay.
But yeah, like if you want to know what this guy was like, watch that show. That like is genuinely his personality.
Okay.
I was like, he's my favorite character. And like again, his face just lit up. He was so happy. He's like, he's my favorite character. And we just ended up talking about
That's awesome.
the Wizard King for like another 10 minutes.
That's
and
awesome.
It was a great
that.
conversation. Like yeah, like he's one of those guys where you don't want to walk away from him because the conversation just is so engaging. But there's a line forming up behind you, and it's like, okay, these people also came here to see him. I need to move out of the way. Like
that's really cool.
Like I am genuinely upset after meeting him at the fact that I did not prepare a sketch for him to sign.
You should,
because like out of everybody that I met at that convention, he's the one whose signature I wanted the most after that.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, man.
Great guy. Like nothing like Stain at all.
But yeah, no. So
he plays unhinged really well. Sorry, we'll get back to.
No, of course. And I do like how we get like Ida in the hospital with his
brother. Yeah,
with his brother.
That's in the next episode, though.
Well, no, because it's not in the hospital, but it's like when he's being taken in, and he's kind of and Johnny Man's just like, I'm sorry, brother. Like just in general, like not Ida's not there. And no. I know when I wrote this down. This isn't regarding his brother. This is regarding Tenya when he loses, like when he's immobilized by Shoto, and he's like, I'm sorry, brother. And all I wrote down was like, dude's gonna have a worse day pretty soon.
Is about to happen.
He's gonna have a really bad day.
I honestly loved his conversation with his mom. Like the voice actress for his mom like did a really good job. Where he's like, "Hi, Mom. I'm sorry I lost." And she's like, "What?" She's like, "That's not what I'm calling." She's like, "I'm sorry you lost, but that is not what I'm talking about."
Yeah, that's a big oof.
She doesn't like yell at him immediately for like not knowing that his brother was just taking. It's like no, that's a very reasonable interaction.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. We don't get that whole lot, and I do love that kind of. We need more parental interactions in anime, like again,
dude, Naruto.
But it's so.
I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, dude. Like the parent-child interactions in Naruto are unmatched.
The bridge section
the
is
parent-child
the
interactions
worst.
are unmatched in Naruto.
Oh, it takes so long though. I don't want to watch the bridge.
I need to like make it a bridge series that you can watch up to like Shippuden, and then you can just take off from there.
I can't. For context, I started watching Naruto like a year or two ago. Because Joe had said like, oh yeah, this is a great series, and I've heard so many good things about Naruto, and I'm like 10 episodes in, and they're at the portion of the show. I did
try to warn him. I'm like, look, dude, it drags.
Helping the bridge builder, and I'm like, this is so boring. It's so boring. And I also made a joke about how they use that same static swing set image for like every episode.
Dude, that swing set unironically gets more screen time than some characters in that show.
Oh, we're running long on time. We should probably move on.
Real quick closing note on this episode in particular is that we actually get the first named move from Bakugo, his stun grenade.
Oh yeah, well no, because I'm thinking about the next episode. Yeah, that's right. We do get the stun grenade.
got this. I thought it was the howitzer impact that was getting first.
That's going to be next.
He uses the stun grenade later on.
Yeah.
That's his first name move is the stun grenade.
Yeah, no, that's great. But segue to episode 25 and
the final episode.
The opening note that I have is that small moment when Bakugo admits that he's wrong, and the fact that Todoroki inadvertently ticks Bakugo off. But it's like, hey, was Deku always this helpful even as a kid? And he's like...
My note was Bakugo being ignored in favor of Deku will never not be taken.
Oh my word. That's true.
Something to note again on the visual, like I'm gonna keep going on about the visuals because I think I think I noticed stuff a little bit. Like you noticed stuff about the audio mixing and the music a little more than I do, I think, which is cool. But visuals are kind of where I'm locking in. There's an interesting visual where while Shoto is thinking about his mom, you see from the top his white hair is etching into the red.
I did notice that.
And it's not normally like that.
I didn't know if
it's
I should
not normally
write
like
that down.
Normally
but...
it's a pretty clean part down the middle.
Okay.
I don't know if it was meant to be like a visual aid or what have you, but I just thought that was an interesting coincidence.
That is an interesting note. Bakugo versus Todoroki is interesting. And the reason I say interesting is because, yes, it's a pretty fun watch, with both of them being very creative with their moves and attacks, like Bakugo's Precise Explosion, the birth of the Howitzer Impact, which, again, is like one of his big signature moves, and even with Shoto being maneuverable with his ice. But the battle itself is also, by design, kind of underwhelming. Is that just me?
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
No. I think it's supposed to be. We got all the emotional catharsis out with Deku versus Todoroki and Bakugo versus Ochako.
Yeah.
But there is something to note here, and this is more to Endeavor's character and later progression. First of all, he needs something to shut up, because if he had shut up, maybe Shoto would have used the fire.
Maybe, yeah.
But this starts to highlight more direct parallels with Bakugo.
In what sense?
Neither of them can stand to lose to their rivals, even by omission.
That's... Oh... Yeah.
Endeavor loses his cap in Season 3 because he's #1 hero now, but not because it's his, because All Might has to step down.
Yeah, he does, and then
Bakugo
does
loses
the same
his crap
thing
here because he didn't win against Todoroki at his best. They both lost to their rivals by omission, essentially.
Yeah, that's
like
an interesting...
Bakugo got the win, and Endeavor got the title,
We're not
but
done!
neither of them got it the way they wanted it.
Exactly. I need to be the undisputable champion! Which then leads...
I think Bakugo might be the sorest winner in modern literature.
Oh, he is the sorest winner in modern literature.
I don't know anybody else who gets that mad about winning.
Oh, man. I need to look that up, because I know that there is one that exists, but I can't think of it right now. But yeah, this leads into the single funniest award ceremony in any anime. And...
Before that.
Okay, before that.
There's a scene where there's the scene where we see Stain meet Kurogiri for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to highlight this because this is the first attack that Stain does that, like, we can see he's Ingenium's genuinely a virtuous person. Like, especially after, like, you see My Hero Academia Vigilantes.
Yeah.
Which seems contrary to Stain's professed ideals, right? So what I wish would have happened is I wish that even later on we would have been given a specific reason for why he took down Ingenium, or at least like had him say something along the lines of wrong place, wrong time.
Sure, definitely. I agree with that.
Like the way that he talks about like after he's like stabbing Ingenium is just like just a general mantra. I'm like, okay, like I was like, okay, but what in particular? Like they talk about how like he very specifically targets people who could be perceived as disingenuous.
Well, I think his entire thing is that...
If he's watched Ingenium at all, he should be like, no, this guy should not be on the hit list.
Well, I think it became an issue of where he started off with really good intentions like that, but then it became... I mean, he's a villain for a reason. He became disillusioned to the point where he kind of like gone to that mindset like only All Might is worthy, and regardless if anyone else is a good hero or not, in my mind, only All Might is worthy, because ultimately, he's a villain. He becomes helpful later on in later seasons, which we'll talk about. But in this moment, he is quite literally evil.
All right, we'll get more on this when we actually get to Stain. But there's two things. One, he acknowledges Deku, so it's not just All Might, and two, he gives Tenya a chance to run away, so he doesn't just kill mindlessly.
Okay, well we'll talk.
We'll get more into that later.
Talk about that. But yeah, so the single funniest award
ceremony.
I love how Bakugo is the one who wins because it feels like any other outcome would have been somewhat disingenuous on Horikoshi's standpoint. That's my take on it. And it also has one of my favorite lines. Please accept this medal, even if you have to think of it as a scar.
You have to wear it as a scar. I don't want that piece of garbage. Here's what I had noted is that All Might gives out really good advice here. Like, he's actually starting to fit into the teaching role. Yeah, like, he's actually sounding like a good mentor here. And then you talked about how, you know, it would have been disingenuous not to have Bakugo win. But I had a slightly different take on this. It's like, the jerk getting his humble pie trope happens just in a very convoluted pattern here. Because he got what he wanted, but he didn't get it the way that he wanted it.
I actually really like that analogy. I really like that analogy.
He got his humble pie, just not in the way that you would usually give it to someone like him.
I mean, when he's literally chained up in more restraints that would make even Midnight jealous, then yeah, you would think so.
Oh my god, you did not just say that. You did not just say that.
Oh, I think that's... I apologize. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
But I also like how...
Will, we can't say the quiet part out loud.
You can't say that.
Bubble, you can't say that.
In a more serious note, I think it's kind of weird how Tokoyami doesn't get a whole lot of screen time in the one-on-one matches, but regardless, he still takes third place, which is really... you don't expect it. Like, you expect, like, it was his...
He's kind of quiet underdog this whole time.
Yeah, he has. He's been kind of like the unsung hero of, like, almost every part of the sports festival.
Yeah.
But...
yeah, he had a role to play. He fulfilled it very well. I liked it. Like, I like that this is the introduction we get to his character.
I think this is a funny comparison, but, like, All Might giving Tokoyami a hug almost feels like the reverse Voldemort thing, where he's like, well done, Draco! Whereas, like, instead of, like...
oh, we don't talk about that scene. We don't talk about that scene.
But the scene works because of how cringe it is. That's literally why it works.
Well, you know, that was improvised, right?
Done. Oh, yeah, it was improvised. They tried a bunch of different things. They tried a handshake. They tried a thing, but it's like, it was like, eventually sounded like the improvised, like, well done, Draco. And both actors are so uncomfortable, you can tell. Oh, man.
I had to make a note that this is probably the first time All Might has been booed since becoming a pro.
Oh, my word.
Because he misses up the closing speech and everybody's booing at him. I'm like, wait, has this ever happened to him before?
Be thankful for the rain, Toshinori. It will hide your tears.
The rain will hide your tears, Toshinori.
I also noted here, it's interesting how we never see any of the second or third year fights, and I get why. I understand why. That would have been way too much to cover in an already filled tournament arc. But even still,
and
we never hear any acknowledgement.
From the Class B character.
Yeah,
like we're already detached from the Class B characters. There's no way they're gonna make us care about the
I get that. I 100% understand that, but I still noticed it. I still notice how we don't really get any acknowledgement. I get why. I get that it wouldn't work, and I agree that they didn't show it. It was just something I noticed.
If I had to change anything, like with regards to that, maybe like while Deku's having lunch with his mom, like have the UA Sports Festival playing in the background.
Yeah, where it's like we've seen Mirio
and like
or
maybe
something in the
and
background.
then maybe you can name drop Mirio or Nejire or something like that.
But I do really. But then moving on from the Sports Festival, I do really love the scene between Ida and his brother, and mostly because as someone who does have an older brother that I personally look up to more than anyone else, I felt that.
Okay.
I don't know if
I'm moving on to the Shoto portion of the closing scene, because this is so important. And Shoto takes the initiative in the healing process, which is something that most people in real life fail to do.
Yeah.
Genuine change cannot be affected by anyone other than oneself, right? And that sounds like it comes off of a motivational poster, but it needs to be said.
It's true.
It's like if you want, it's like you can't. If you rely on other people to change, you're never really going to change. You may change the circumstances around you, but you as a person are not gonna be affected.
100%. 100%.
And I love the emotional cliffhanger. Not in that he goes to see her, but there's a lack of dialogue between them.
Sometimes that's...
And, like, kind of just, like, the blank way that she kind of turns to look at him, you have to wonder, okay, is she, like, not all there?
Yeah, no.
Like, is she checked out completely at this point? Like, you know, in the long run of things, we know, okay, she's, like, glad to see him. They immediately start talking. But I love that cliffhanger to where it's like, we don't know what her headspace is here.
Yeah, no, it's a great moment. It's a very great moment. Yeah, and then one very last thing. It's very minor, but I love how both Ochako and Deku's respective parents basically go out of their way. Like with Ochako, her parents come visit her and like applaud her despite.
I had the same note.
It's such a good moment.
I had the same note, dude.
Moment. Like it's played up as a comedy.
Deku and Ochako
but...
both have great parents.
Yeah, we need more. I remember that there's
they both have great parents.
Go ahead.
But my final funny note was like, Inko needs to learn how to hydrate before she dehydrates.
Yeah, I know. It reminds me, I love how they have loving parents, but it reminds me of like this one line from Death Battle where they're talking about, it's literally like Deku versus Miles Morales. And when they're talking about Miles Morales, they say...
I love that. That was a great episode.
It's like, but Miles Morales has one edge on literally every superhero known to man. Living parents! Better yet, loving parents! But it's true. We need to have more. Like, I know in the superhero things, like, oh yeah, they need motivation, most of which comes from a dead parent. But we need more.
Well, you know what's a good
parental figures for these kinds of characters? I love it. I love it.
Do you want to know what's a good example of that?
Tell me.
I promise it's not Naruto.
Tell me.
Ben 10.
Yes.
Ben 10.
I've seen like a handful of episodes of Ben 10.
Both parents are alive. They love him. They're concerned for him. They're still raising him. Like, Ben's an interesting character and like. He has a comfortable life. He has a public identity. His parents are both alive and they love each other. He chooses to go out and do the right thing. Like maybe there's some questionable motives in there. Like he's a little egocentric sometimes, but at the heart of it, he just wanted to go out and be a hero.
Yeah,
and honestly, Uraraka kind of reminds me of that in some degree.
It's great. I love.
But she's way less egomaniacal.
Yeah, I love those kinds of characters. It's just, and even with other characters, like Ash's mom from Pokemon, it's like really simple. And granted, we don't ever see Ash's dad, but even still, in the very few times we do see her, she's an extremely supportive mother, and I love that.
Yes,
it's great.
Yes, yeah, I do love to see it.
And like even like in Pokemon, and like
that's everything I want to talk about on season. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Just as a season, well, this is the first half of season 2. Yeah, so
yeah.
I think that this is one of the best tournament arcs that I've personally seen in anime. Just because
I agree.
Everything has a purpose in it, for the most part. There are some like montage sequences that they lightning round through, which we kind of talked about.
But there's no skippable episodes.
No, but collectively it works, both in showcasing the characters and even in building the characters themselves. Like, obviously, most notably with Todoroki. But it's just... And even, like, it's just a good tournament arc. It's just a very well
and there's seeds planted for other characters for the changes. There's seeds planted for characters for the other for other characters changes. Yayorozu's probably the most obvious one. We get some of that with Ida. You know,
even
Bakugo also, like, some of those seeds are continuing. Even with Ochako. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's awesome. And it's just so good. It's so good. I'm excited for the second half of season 2. Because as much as I do love the tournament arc, I think second half of season 2 really nails one of the biggest heart issues of this anime. It sounds weird to put it like that, but that's really the only way I can put it. And
no, I think I know what you're talking about.
And we'll get into that next time on the next podcast. And hopefully it won't take as long to produce this one because there was some scheduling issues. But hopefully
I was running security for an event today, so I'm sunburnt as all get out and very tired.
Yeah, I know, and that's kind of like why this episode might have also been a bit more low-key. But hopefully by the time this episode is released on YouTube, we'll be able to record the next one relatively sooner than before. Yeah. But until then, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Joe, for coming on. And
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And then we'll see you guys on next time.
We'll catch y'all next time. Later.